Have you ever been told you're too sensitive or too demanding when all you wanted was the basics? Chances are you were dealing with a narcissist. Joining me is clinical psychologist Dr. Justine Weber, who spent years helping people recover from narcissistic relationships. Welcome, Justine. We have a lot of great questions for you, and this is our favorite topic. First one, can a narcissist ever change?
No. I mean, is it possible? I mean, I guess potentially, but no, I really have not seen it. They do not change. That's actually a big piece of the treatment, is to get to that place of realization that they are not going to change.
Do you think it's possible if they acknowledge that they're a narcissist and then they go through a lot of therapy, personal development program, or some sort of inpatient facility? Is that a possibility?
It's a possibility, I guess. I guess anything is possible, but is it likely? Not really. Usually when narcissistic people, when they do tend to go to therapy or anything like that, it's usually because of their spouse, because they've reached a point in a relationship where that's almost like what they have to do. But what I have seen clinically and personally is they do this as a way of really having the person that they're in a relationship with believe that they are actually working on themselves, that they're changing, that things are great, things are better. But when you look at treatment over the course of a long period of time, there's really not structurally a lot of change in terms of behavior.
So it's a manipulation tactic.
It's a manipulation. That's what I see all the time when I have couples who come to me where it's very obvious that, the husband is NPD. It's really just a manipulative tactic to keep the person in the relationship, hoping that things are going to get better.
Do you think narcissists know that they're narcissists?
I'd have to say the answer to that is no. Do they know what they're doing? Yes, they do know what they're doing. But what I have seen is they typically accuse the person that they're in a relationship with of being a narcissist. But no, do they believe that they are a narcissist? No, I don't, because that would take self-reflection. That would take some intro perspective where you're like examining yourself, looking at yourself, and they just lack that capacity. They don't have it. It's about everybody else.
Do you think that's with all types of narcissists? I know there are different types. There's a covert narcissist. Do you feel like they're all the same in terms of their behavior, if they're able to change, if they know that they're a narcissist? Do you believe that for all different types of narcissists? Because I know there are different degrees.
Sure. It's definitely a spectrum. There's very mild to the medium to very severe. But in terms of their tactics and behaviors, yes, there's lots of different ones. The malignant is like really on the other side of the pendulum, the most severe, I would say. The malignant really kind of is almost like one step below psychopathy. They are very just malicious, dangerous, vindictive people. They just will not stop. And then on the lower end, you probably have more of like the vulnerable ones. The vulnerable covert is also what it's called. That can look almost a little bit more like depression. And, but they are, incredibly insecure. They get a lot of their supply from people around them through kind of being the victim, life is just not fair. But in terms of all of these different categories, really a lot of their tactics and their behavior and the manipulation has a lot of similarities, but most importantly, how it feels to the target, to the victim who's in a relationship with this person. It's almost identical. It's really interesting. Even if you took it a step further and you looked at cults,
Yes.
or people who are in kind of more spiritual, religious settings, more of like the self-righteous narcissist, versus somebody who's been in a marriage with a grandiose for 10 or 15 years, how it feels to, for the victim, for the target, it's all identical.
So it's all the same at the end of the day. So are
Some are
narcissists,
more extreme cases.
wow.
Do narcissists harm themselves or just others? Like,
They are all about harming themselves, or sorry, they're all about harming other people. And in that process of harming other people, sometimes they can harm themselves. This would probably be more like the grandiose, the malignant people. I don't know. First thing that comes to mind is somebody who is going through a divorce where, or they keep suing their ex or taking them back to court, even at the cost of maybe their own finances or their own reputation. So yes, sometimes in the process of harming other people, they can hurt themselves, but they are all about how they can exert control. They're all about domination, winning, being on top, being right, getting the narcissistic supply. And along the way, oftentimes they can hurt themselves, for sure.
What do you think the biggest red flags are when you're dealing with a narcissist?
Gosh, there's so many of them. Would this be somebody like earlier on in kind
I would
of
say,
a
yes.
dynamic-
Let's talk about earlier on in the relationship. Like the beginning.
So earlier
phase.
on in a relationship with a narcissist, if you're maybe like newly dating, or maybe you just got a job and you're kind of like in that questioning phase, is this a boss or maybe a neighbor? I would say some things to watch out for. Number one, moving too fast. That's a huge one. Moving too fast if it's a relationship. Narcissists across the board are notorious for moving fast. You've had 2 dates and they're already like, let's go to
Sandra.
Mexico together.
That's what happens to me.
Let's,
narcissist magnet over here.
I'm a narcissist magnet. I admit it. Everybody moves so quickly. My ex moved so fast with me. He told me the first night we were going to have 2 kids together. He wanted to move in right away. He told me he loved me right away. I'm the one. And then fast forward, when we split up finally last year, the first person that I went out with was like, I want to get you pregnant. Well, at this point, I was 53 years old. How am I getting pregnant? Oh, I want to put a baby in you. I'm like, wait, what? And then my friend's like, I think you're being love bombed.
And then she meets a normal guy and she's like, why isn't he into me? I'm like, no, he's normal.
Yes, exactly. That's so, yeah. So what they're trying to do is, really lock you in.
Yes.
Secure you by, having kids together or getting married, or it really forces somebody to be locked in. And so I see this all the time, but moving fast across the board is what I hear from my clients of like, we were on our second date and he's talking about how he wants to take me to, Tahiti, and everything is kind of urgent. And so in this early stage, people can oftentimes misinterpret, love, like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I'm falling in love with this person. You've got the butterflies and everything, but it's actually, excitement. It's not actual real love. It's just this adrenaline where you're like, oh, and so this is kind of the beginning stage of what can form essentially the trauma bond,
That's exactly
where
right.
you kind of misinterpret this as, this, real connection with somebody. But if things are just moving too fast, you don't really have time to think clearly and be, analytical or logical and really take your time. But, so like other really typical red flags very early on is pay attention to how they talk about some of their exes. If you're hearing this pattern where you're on a third date and they're like, my ex-wife, every single one of my girlfriends, they are crazy.
Oh, they all say
They
that.
stalked me. I'm sorry.
They all say that.
It's never
Well,
their
that's
fault.
a big red flag.
They all say it. Oh, this one was crazy. Oh, my wife was crazy. It didn't work out. They all say it.
That's a big problem. That is a big red flag. Do they tend to blame all of their exes for the problems, as to what happened in the relationship? Is it always their fault? Pay attention to how they treat other people, the waitress or the server. Pay attention to if they tend to use,
Sensing a
pay attention to how
pattern.
they, it's like, right?
Textbook. I mean, it's 100% textbook.
Oh, this is a good one too. If there's an automatic power difference in the relationship where maybe this other person is much older or, has higher status, more money, more educated, more successful, or culture, is there an automatic power difference where it puts them up here and you're down here?
What
Because
if you
this can set you up.
But what if you start even and then over time they try to put you down? I mean, do you see that happening as well?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Healthy relationships should be equal. Even if
Exactly.
there is an automatic power difference, if your boyfriend or husband is like 20 years older than you and maybe they're a lot more educated, in a healthy relationship where it's safe, they're not going to use that as their power to weaponize you, to put you below. It should not ever be like that.
I
in a
just don't
healthy-
even know what it would be like at this point to be in a safe relationship because I was in such an unsafe relationship for so many years. I don't even understand what safety is.
Yeah.
It's gonna throw
And that
you
makes
a
sense.
curveball.
That's why if I meet somebody and they're normal, it's like, wait, what's going on? Why are you love bombing?
Yeah. And I hear that a lot too from people where, maybe their entire history, their backstory is like dysfunction and
Yes.
toxic or narcissistic, disrespectful, things like that. And then they, come to the place where they meet somebody and you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. Like it should feel different. It should feel uncomfortable because your nervous system is used to that, adrenaline and cortisol and the ups and downs and the excitement and the fight and picking up, and you get used to it,
No, people, this is a thing.
No,
So
you're
when
right.
I met my husband's like molasses. He's like the opposite of a narcissist. So it took a really long time for us to build this relationship. And I remember when we first started dating, this person came up to me and was like, you guys are never gonna last. Look how serious I am with my person. Like we're practically living together and we met at the same time. And lo and behold, a decade later, we're married with children and these people don't even speak to each other anymore. I feel like that's the perfect example of this love bombing and how it doesn't work long term.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, it should be, slow, taking your time, really building that connection, going out in lots of different scenarios with this person, not just to a quiet dinner each time, but, go on a hike, go to, a neighbor's house or something, or, a concert, see them in lots of different environments and situations and see how they handle it, see how you're able to keep that connection, and engagement with each other
That's
from a clear
smart.
place.
That's really smart. What kind of control tactics do you see that the narcissists use to hold on to their significant other?
Oh gosh. Money is a big one.
Oh yeah, money.
Money is a big one. Yep. Isolating them from their friends. If you don't have your circle of people around you, your friends, where you're using them as like a sounding board, if you're alone and don't have your circle of people, it's easier to control you. It's easier to gaslight you. You're just drowning in self-doubt, and self-criticism. You feel blamed. Everything is your fault. So I would say money, isolating, are huge. And then blaming too, constantly blaming the target, the victim. All the problems in the relationship are all your fault.
That happened to me for years. So it wasn't really the money or the isolation part as much as the blame. Like everything was my fault. Back from the moment that we met, everything was my fault.
Yeah. And I can see that too. I think that's also a huge red flag if you've been in a relationship with somebody for quite some time. If maybe it's like a work partnership or something, or an intimate partner, and you're in this space where you're like, something just doesn't feel right. I don't get this. It's so confusing. I got to say, ladies, that healthy relationships in life, I don't care who it is, if it's somebody you've known for a long time or not, they're actually, when you really break it down, quite easy. They should be quite easy.
We were just talking about this. It's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be stressful. Like, it's supposed to be the thing that makes your life better, not worse.
Yes. And the confusion piece of it, that's what gets people to stay longer, because you're so confused. You've lost your sense of, years and years of being gaslit. You lose your capacity of, thinking clearly, of seeing reality for what it is, of making decisions, of trusting yourself, your intuition. You lose, all of this gets shattered. And so when you notice that there's this pattern with this other person, where when there's a problem in the relationship, when you come to this person with a problem of trying to get resolution and you never get that resolution, solutions, understanding, just growth in a relationship, when you walk away every single time where there's a conflict or a problem, and you're walking away feeling more confused, like it's more your fault, more gaslighted, all of that, that is a huge, huge problem. Like I said, healthy relationships with two healthy people, it's actually quite easy. Even when there's problems in a relationship, in any relationship, is just what happens, whether it's with a friend or an intimate partner. It's the way in which how we deal with these problems to find resolution and hopefully growth in the relationship and the connection.
That makes a lot of sense, because I lived for the past 27 years completely confused. I had no idea what was going on, because we never got to a level where there wasn't another issue. Like every time I thought everything was okay now, everything is good, something else would happen. And it's like, wow, we can. And then he's like, oh, but you're always living in the past. I'm like, because the past keeps happening.
And I also feel like you did this thing where there'd be an issue, which in like a more stable relationship, it would never even occur to you that that would be a be all end all issue, right? Like a tiny blimp would be like, oh my gosh, am I getting divorced over this? Where that's generally not the case. Like if you get in a tiff with your husband, you know he's going to come home that night. You're not living in fear.
But mine was different.
But here's what,
I was always living in fear.
You were always living in fear.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Constant state of fear of, what should I do? I see this a lot too from targets or victims of, they are constantly, they find themselves getting in these cycles where they do things in the relationship that they actually kind of don't want to do, but they do it out of fear because of some threat to keep the peace.
That's what happened to me. I offered my husband a green light because he wanted to leave for the 25th time. And then I said, well, what's it going to take for you to stay? And then he said, well, I don't want to be told what to do. I want to do whatever I want. He basically wanted a green light. So I agreed to it, which I shouldn't have. And then he left anyway. So nothing worked with this person. Like nothing. Like I even lowered my standards to the point where I offered a green light and he still left. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy.
You end up just... And that's the thing. It's like these years of this insidious, slow growing of just chipping away at the self, chipping away at, boundaries. There's no boundaries anymore. No. I mean, truly, there's no boundaries. I mean, the only way for a relationship like this to keep afloat and to keep going is if we completely give up our boundaries, completely eventually give up our needs, our self-respect, don't ask for anything, just agree, keep adjusting, keep giving in, don't ever ask them about anything, and everything will be fine.
That's really realistic though, that they're going to be fine with you if you offer all those things and then they're fine. They don't look for something else.
No, I think that absolutely, they get tired of, the same thing. And so they're constant, they very much operate from a dopamine hit and things that are new supply, exciting supply, new love bombing, all of that. That's very attractive. But for relationships, when I see these relationships, when they've gone on for 10, 20, 30 years, the only way that happens where they're still together is only if the target and the victim really gives up everything and anything that matters to them, their self, their identity, their boundaries. That's the only way that, I myself was married for almost 15 years, and that was the only way that it really lasted that long is what you have to give up. You have to give up your autonomy. You have to give up your, self-respect, no boundaries. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's incredibly devastating. It's incredibly sad, that is far from a happy, marriage or a happy life.
How do you help your patients remove themselves from these narcissistic relationships?
Well, for people who are in the relationship, I do have some clients. I do tend to kind of specialize more in after they've left and the whole, healing and recovery piece of it. But when they are in the relationship, and they're kind of like, I don't know, I talk a lot about boundaries. I talk a lot about what healthy looks like for them, what healthy feels like. We talk a lot about the bad behavior that they're experiencing and try to find patterns to it. I really help them rebuild, I should say, their own reality and their own perspective.
So they make the decision, basically. Mm-hmm. So you're just bringing to light all of these different things in hopes that they're going to make the decision to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really their sounding board when they're coming to me and they're like, yeah, my husband did this to me and I found out that he cheated and I addressed it with them and he just lied and he blamed it on me. And he said that, in the marriage that, I'm never around and that I'm always so busy and we don't have sex anymore. And so I don't know, maybe I did have a part in this, in contributing to him doing that. And so I kind of, step by step, break this down to where they're able to digest it and see the reality of what's happening from a lens that they're able to take in and really see really very clearly.
That's smart.
But eventually that is always my hope, but it's such a personal decision. It is not my job and I would never sit there and be like, just leave him,
Right.
That's not.
Which you'd like to say that, but you can't. I would.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine if I was a therapist, the things that would go through.
You have to leave. You can't stay.
Like, what are you doing?
But you're smart. Your tactic is good. That they use it with the. Do you feel like the narcissists really love themselves, or are they just pretending that they love themselves?
Narcissistic people, what you're really talking about, I think, is self-love, self-compassion, and confidence. And narcissistic people are very good at portraying that they are very confident, charismatic, amazing people, because this is when you look good, that's what draws people in. But The reality is, no, this is not self-love. They are not like in love with themselves or anything like that. Narcissistic people across the board, they actually have an incredible amount of shame. They are drowning in shame. They are very empty, shallow people. And so this is why, it looks like they're confident and so amazing and they just love themselves to the outside world. But no, because people who are really confident, truly confident from the inside out, where you know who you are, you're like, I am, I'm a kind person, I'm an empathic person, I'm a creative person. Those kinds of traits that, are stable, that's confidence from the inside. People who are truly confident, who can manage their shame. We all have shame from time to time, but it's manageable. We don't like and enjoy harming and controlling another person. That doesn't feel good. I don't know about either of you, but that does not make me feel good. And it doesn't build my confidence and
Not
my
at all.
self-love by
No.
hurting and diminishing another human being and exerting power and control. That makes me feel awful.
So that makes sense. If they were a really happy person,
Yeah.
they wouldn't hurt others.
Yes, if they were a happy, confident person that had that self-love, you would not enjoy that. No.
Never. I know I wouldn't enjoy it.
No.
Would you enjoy hurting people like that?
Never. Are you born a narcissist? Or does something happen and you become one?
So that's a really good question. And there's not really a short answer to that, but some researchers say that you are born with it. Other research, and this is what I believe, is it's actually a combination. There are certain predispositions and certain traits that can put you at a higher predisposition to developing narcissism based on your parents, based on your upbringing. Yes, oftentimes trauma is a piece of this in their backstory, but not always. And so there's really, when I get this question, it really is almost like a whole list of different things that can impact somebody in developing NPD versus not. And typically you can't really diagnose them really much before like 20 years old, because the teenager years, you see a lot of very similar traits, but definitely by, before that, you will definitely see traits of it for sure.
And do you-
the low empathy,
Do you feel that they get worse as they get older?
I do. I think they get worse. Particularly when they have learned how to get away with it from people. If people keep, in their life, making them be accountable, bringing their bad behavior to their attention, cutting them off, things like that. Will they adjust their behaviors if maybe they get a lot of people that are leaving them, a lot of women who are breaking up with them, a lot of friends that are, cutting them off because of their bad, problematic, manipulative behavior? Could they maybe adjust their behavior a little bit in a positive way? Sure, but it's for the wrong reasons. But what I see is so many people give permission. These are the flying monkeys. These are the enablers,
Yes.
people in their life where they don't see it. They, and so they only see the charm. And so this is the kind of situation where you've been married for 15 years and you're like, I see all the bad behavior. This person is such a problem, but everyone in your circle of friendships, your neighbors, your community, your church group, your work environment, everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing.
Everybody else
I saw
loves him.
drop off.
That's
Everyone else loves him. I saw him drop off the kids at school, and I saw him at the park, and he had a cute little pink backpack with your daughter, and
sad.
it's so cute. And they're only focusing on those little snippets
Right.
of the behavior. It's not a full range of who this person is.
That's so sick. This was amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, and this
Of
was
course,
such
thank
great
you for having
information.
me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. This is my favorite topic too.
And how can our listeners or our viewers get in touch with you?
Really, the easiest way is probably go on my website for my coaching, Dr. Justine Weber with 1B.com, and anybody can book a free consultation, like a 30-minute consultation. You can book it immediately. My phone number is actually listed on my website too. You can always call me. I can be old school with that sort of thing, but I would say book a consultation on my website or give me a call.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy we had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Justine Weber today, because the narcissism is basically everywhere and people really need to know what's out there, what narcissism is. And Justine is so passionate about the topic, and it was so refreshing and great to speak to her.
It probably hit really close to home for you.
It did. It
I'm
did.
so glad we were able to do that.
Thank you. If today's episode hit home, hit follow or subscribe whenever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Leave a review if you've got a minute. It helps more women find the show and ditch the drama. And if you've got a girlfriend who needs to hear this, send it her way.